Jai Hind everyone. Now this year's UPSC prelims examination did not just crush the hopes of aspirants, but it had also changed the preparation strategy of all the students. All those students who had kept things for the last month, for the last fortnight, last week to revise had completely lost the battle when they appeared in the examination. So today I'll give you 5 reasons why the last minute preparation had completely failed in the 2026 prelims and what you must do for your future UPSC attempts. Okay. Now starting off with this discussion, okay, the first most important reason, okay, the real reason first is the lack of conceptual depth and the understanding. Okay. Now the last minute preparation usually focuses upon the facts and the current affairs. But 2026 tested why and how. Now I'll give you an example. Now, usually students keep different things to be prepared in the last. Okay, either it will be facts around current affairs, either it will be static GK topics, or they will effectively discuss only those things that had created a problem for them in the past. Okay, but in this last minute preparation, we missed out because of heavy ancient history. Now, usually the student in this ancient history part keep art and culture for the last. And this time in this examination, the art and culture effectively had around 8 to 10 topics. Clear? And all of those questions were statement based and inference based question. Clear? So this time we can understand one thing, that it was deep conceptual plus current static linkage. Clear? So it was deep conceptual and current static linkage which was asked. Okay. Now there were some multiple questions that required in-depth understanding that usually cannot be done in case we are doing it as the last minute preparation. Okay. The questions in the modern history were also asked around the Hilton Young Commission of 1926. Now, this required understanding of British economic motives. Okay. Now, there were questions around the place value systems. Okay. Place value system in the ancient India. Now, this required historical text. Okay. Then, the questions around Rigvedic agriculture. Clear? So, these all were too much of the information and you cannot mug up this information within 30 days. It requires an in-depth clarity. Clear? So this was the first reason why the lack of conceptual depth and understanding, which is usually kept for the last minute, did not work in the favor of students. Okay. The second reason is ignorance of core static subjects, especially the art and culture. Okay. Now, many aspirants had left ancient history, temple architecture, music, iconography and Buddhism, Jainism topics for the end. Clear? So, it is usually many students who do it. Okay. But this 2026 paper was basically something that had a load of all these topics. Clear? Now, the questions, that was the question around the Carnatic style, which is similar to Bilawal. Okay, that question was asked. Okay. Now, the Nagar style. Okay. The Nagar style Shikhar temples. Okay. The questions around the Devgod, Aihole inscriptions. Okay. Next, a question around empty seat. What does it reflect? Oh, okay. So this was something which was very different, okay, and something that you would not have found out while going through your last minute revision. Okay, the Hali Salasya paintings in Bagh caves. Now, this basically shows something like art and culture is not to be considered as a last minute chapter. Okay, now art and culture from now onward should be considered as a complete topic in itself. Okay, it carried a massive weightage in 2026. Okay, now the third reason. Okay, poor integration of static plus current events. Now this is again the biggest problem that majority of students had faced. Okay, now in the last minute the aspirants studied current affairs separately, but UPSC mixed them deeply with the static topics. Okay, now as we have seen a question like the Madhav National Park, which was declared a tiger reserve in 2025. Okay, the Vizhinjam port and the Sagarmala 2.0. Okay, the OICO tax certification for Airy silk. Okay, the Tungra Hua volcano. Okay, so the current affairs essentially were a mixture of last 2 years, and they were then associated with the traditional subjects, the static subjects. Clear? So current affairs without strong static foundation becomes useless. Okay, and this 2026 paper had proved this essentially. Okay, now the fourth reason is weak analytical and the inference skills that were showcased. So many questions were not direct. They asked what can be inferred or which statements support this assertion. Clear? Now, when we have a look, now there were questions around the Harappan findings. Okay, there were questions around the Harappan findings. Okay, there were questions around the Rigvedic period, and there were statements around the same. Clear? Now a question around the Montague-Chelmsford reforms in the assertion form was asked. Clear? So statement based questions came with statement based options. Okay, so last minute preparation only helps you in giving information. It does not help you to build a analytical thinking which was required from the starting itself. Clear? Last and the most important reason is the over reliance on shortcuts, the coaching notes, and the PYQs. Okay, now students are overtly believing onto this. The students feel that whatever they have given us, that is sufficient, or in case there were many students who were solely dependent upon the PYQs. Okay, and they did not practice anything like the mock questions. They did not practice anything around the expected topics or the topics in news. Clear? So emphasizing upon them will not help you. Okay, so students mainly depended upon summarized notes. Okay, whereas in the exam it was an expanded information that was asked. Clear? They only emphasized upon the previous year questions and no deep reading was done through them. Clear? So paper had a very fresh, okay, a source based and an unconventional angle. Clear? The questions were around dolphins in rivers, Kshetrapatni in Atharvaved. So these were the questions. So shortcuts usually work until UPSC changes the game. Okay, but in 2026 the game changed entirely. So what you must do now is, what is the road forward, how a student should approach it. Okay, please start early and start deeply. Okay, especially ancient India and culture, they are the game changers. Okay, second, focus on conceptual understanding and their linkages with the current events. Clear? And vice versa for current events, you must link them with the historic events. Okay, build analytical skills through answer writing and various inferences. Yeah, okay, so try to draw inferences on your own, how that can be linked to some other concept. Now multidisciplinary linkages were asked in the examination, and that cannot be meted out in the last minute preparation itself. It has to be done while you are preparing subjects simultaneously. Lastly, treat current affairs as an application tool, not a separate subject. Clear? So now this time one more thing has been added. Current affairs has been used as a gap bridging tool for the subjects. Okay, and art and culture, which was previously a topic, has now emerged as a separate subject. Clear? So for the students, you must give priority to art and culture, physical geography, and also environment. Solve at least last 8 to 10 years UPSC papers. Okay, and try to build your own linkages. Okay, make your own short notes and make multidisciplinary linkages. Okay, it was not the last minute preparation that had failed you. Okay, you had failed to prepare for the longer game. So start today and start in the right way. Clear? So make sure that you must understand UPSC, no doubt, was brutal. Okay, but there were a few things that everyone must learn. Okay, if we have a look upon the positive side, no matter the paper was tough, but it was a learning experience for many. Okay, one single approach cannot work for all. Okay, it has to be your customization, your learnings, and your inferences that must be brought out, and then you must prepare. Clear? So start for your 2027, okay, and 2028 batches now. Use the code SRM Live to avail maximum discount on all StudyIQ courses. Clear? So I hope all of you would have understood the major reasons why students, or what all were the things that students failed to prepare in the last minute. Clear? So this was all from my side today. We'll see you all in the next session, and do let me know what was your takeaway after this examination. So we'll see you all in the next session. Jai Hind.